What's up, y'all? Modern Mountain Man here. Welcome back to another Man Stuff Monday. And it's been a while, and I'm glad to be back. Today, I want to talk to you about the power of a good reference, or if you're the one giving the reference, the power of a good reputation. You know, King Solomon once said that a good name is more desirable than great wealth. Today, I want to show you a book that I bought simply based on who gave the reference and why that person's good name and reputation influenced me to buy this book. Coming up on Modern Mountain Man. You know, a while back I was in a bookstore and I was just kind of perusing the shelf. You see behind me I got a bookshelf here. If you ever see my bookshelf at home, I've got one that's probably about 3 or 4 times the size of that guy. I like books, and so if I ever buy a book, it's not just to add one to my collection. I've got plenty of books if I want to read. I want to buy one that's actually going to interest me enough to read it through, add value to my life, and so on and so forth. So if I buy a book, it's either because I know the author and I know they're going to add value to my life, or somebody that I know has given me a reference saying, hey, you ought to check this book out or check that book out. Well, when I was looking through the bookshelf at this bookstore, I saw this book right here, the Mansfield Book of Manly Men by Stephen Mansfield. Now, I will admit, before I read this book, I had no idea who Stephen Mansfield was, but it was forwarded by Lieutenant General Jerry Boykin. Now, full disclosure, I never served under General Boykin in the military. I know him more from his civilian life. He and I went to church together. He was a professor at a college in my hometown, so a lot of the young men that were going to college there knew him as professor. I got to know General Boykin, and what an incredible guy. If you guys don't know who General Boykin is, he was one of the founding members of Delta Force, later on went on to command Delta Force, and later on his career ended up commanding all of the Green Beret. He was involved in everything from famously known as Black Hawk Down, Pablo Escobar, catching and killing him, the Iran hostage situation, a few other famous things that he was involved in. And I can tell you one thing I've learned about him is not only is General Boykin a man's man, not only did he embrace masculinity, but he was a leader of men. I mean, if you've got the entire Delta Force following you, if you've got the entire Green Beret following you, later on he ended up being a professor at Hampton-Sydney College, which is one of the few all-male colleges left. Every year the seniors pick a professor who made the biggest impact on their life in their 4 years at the college. Funny story, General Boykin won that award in his first year at the college. You mean to tell me those seniors who had been there for 4 years, a professor who had only been there for 1 year had the biggest impact on their life? It's because of the kind of man that General Boykin is. I say all that to say, I know General Boykin. I know what kind of character he has, what a great leader he is, a man's man that he is, a family man on top of that, loves his wife, a great guy. And so when I find a book called Mansfield Book of Manly Men, I have no idea who Stephen Mansfield was before reading this book, but I know General Boykin. And on his good word, I bought this book because he told me in the foreword of this book that this was going to be a roadmap to masculinity. It was going to point out some things in our culture that were very pertinent for men to know. And so I said, you know what, I'm going to give this book a chance. And I read this book, and this is, I've got a whole section on my shelf over here of books about masculinity and recapturing what it means for the American male to really exhibit those things. And out of all my books, this is one of the ones that I refer to people most often. Let me read you a quote from General Boykin's foreword of this book. Sadly, too many men in America cannot identify with the characteristics of a real man. The ideal of a warrior, for example, is too high for them. What makes a man a warrior is his willingness to place himself between what he holds dear and anything that threatens it. Honor is the chief motivator for a warrior. Dishonor is unthinkable. He does the right thing without expectation of a reward because honor is an intrinsic value when manifested in one's life provides its own rewards. Now, General Boykin lived that kind of a life, and reading a forward like that encourages me to say, let's pick up this book. Let's learn more about that warrior lifestyle of valuing this thing that I will stand in between and protect it. I read this book. It had a powerful impact on my life. I ended up getting a group of guys together, and we just would wake up early in the morning, meet, pray, hang out, and we would talk about this book and then go through a chapter at a time with each other. And then those guys ended up, sharing this book with other people. And so I'm referencing it to you. But this was initially referenced to me by General Boykin. I love him, love what he stands for, and man, this book is amazing. I'm going to spend the next few Man Stuff Mondays going through a couple of chapters in this book. There's the Mansfield's Book of Manly Men has his Mansfield maxims of manliness in here, and I want to hit each one of those over the course of the next few weeks here. But just want to reference this book to you guys. I want to share this idea with you and say, you know what? As a man, if you've lived a life where you've created a reputation, you've created a good name, there is synergy and power behind your reputation and your good name, that when you stand behind a product, you stand behind a person, you stand behind a concept or a political leader, and you throw your hat into the ring and say, I stand behind this, your reputation wins credit for the unknown. I knew nothing about this book. But his reputation, when he threw his hat in the ring and said, I stand behind this book, it won this book instant credibility in my mind. What are you winning instant credibility for? There are people, there are ideas, there are institutions that need your voice behind it. Are you developing the kind of reputation? Are you developing the kind of life that says, hey, I'm looking at him, and if he stands behind that, there must be something to this? This is Modern Mountain Man saying, God bless you. Go take your mountain and build your reputation.